everybody, it's Topline. Welcome to Topline. It's Sam Jacobs using Chris Voss's late night DJ voice. I'm the CEO of Pavilion. I'm joined by my co-host AJ Bruno, the CEO of QuotaPath, Asad Zaman, the CEO of Sales Talent Agency. We're back this week again for the second time in a row. We're doing questions from the Topline community, a shorter segment than you're used to, where we go deep on one specific question. We're hoping that you get actionable, practical takeaways from the next 20 minutes. Gentlemen, start your engines, please.
Let's go.
And Asid, what is the question that we're grappling with today?
Just like last week, a question that has been phrased to me by a couple of people. And so I will paraphrase and combine all of those questions into a bigger question for us to tackle, which is I'm an operator and I feel like my organization today has a number of key people that I'm not sure are completely bought into AI yet. And it scares the living hell out of me. I have these people in the technical side of my company. I have some of these people in my go-to-market team. I believe that AI is big. We need to meet the moment. And I don't think we as an organization can meet the moment unless all the people in the organization are completely aligned. So I feel like I have a choice. Am I supposed to try to convert these people somehow? Am I evangelizing and converting and debating and changing minds? Or do I need to do a lot of corrective action? I want to do the former, but I'm worried that that's not the right move. Help me.
I love this question because we're all going through this right now. Every single person out there feels like they have imposter syndrome because they have to lead their teams to do this, and they're trying to figure out how to do this themselves. I actually would go with the former, where the changing minds and behaviors I do actually think is possible. The way that I've seen this happen, and we've achieved some level of this, it isn't going to be with everyone. You are absolutely going to have to, unfortunately, leave behind a handful of folks that are just not going to get on the bus, that aren't getting on board. What we did, and we talked a little bit about this, is one, most importantly, you are communicating clearly every single week the things that you are doing, and you are rewarding good behavior. So, for example, we did Vibe Coding Fridays where we spent half the day picking different projects and coding. At our company offsite, we had a company hackathon. We broke into groups. We had a technical lead that was familiar with Claude Code that taught everyone at the table how to deploy Claude Code. How do you code out of a terminal, like a new concept for every single person? And some of these concepts were a little bit tougher and challenging, but once we got into it and comfortable, we just felt like we were really hitting our stride. Another thing that we did is Pablo Dominguez, one of our investors, he sees the entire world of what's possible out there. And I did a Q&A with him, and he said that our team is in the top decile of AI adoption, but that still has a ways to go and an opportunity. That was really rewarding and like feel good, but it also set the stage to say like, okay, what does that next leg of the journey need to look like? And so coming back from that offsite, what we heard from the team was that that was a career changing, career defining moment for them to feel like that they had an opportunity to opt in and get on the bus. So you can change that. You just have to create the environment to do that and create the Elon Musk button, are you in, are you out type of mentality, and then act decisively and quickly on the other side of it. If there are team members that are still not on the bus, then you're not going to be able to change their minds, and you're going to have to make those changes and shifts pretty fast after that.
I'm on the same page. I think you've got to give people the opportunity. I think the job of the CEO is to create the space for people to opt in. First, you clarify to the organization, hey, this is important. And the way that you clarify that is repetition. You talk about it all the time. You lead by example, talk about what you're building, how you're using different tools, if you're using different tools, and you just repeat yourself till you're bored of repeating yourself. I saw Tim Rath, he runs a demand gen agency in the DACH region, big, tall German guy, and he just did like a 24-hour hackathon with his team. Same thing. A lot of people that were nervous, that weren't sure how to engage or approach AI. Once you realize that so much of it is just speaking English to a computer, it becomes far less intimidating. So he broke people up into 4 squads. They had a hackathon. They talked about what they built. The things that you can build out of the box with some of these tools are really quite incredible. those types of activities, those types of exercises where you force people to say, okay, you got 12 hours, and maybe give them a framework like, let's, first 30 minutes, you're going to list activities and actions that you take in the course of your job. And then the next 30 minutes, you're going to map those to things that you think a computer or an agent could possibly handle for you. And then you're going to see how far you get trying to build it. And I think if you get to those points, I think it's probably a lot more powerful and a lot more immediate for people. So I think you give them all of those opportunities. You repeat yourself ad nauseum. The first thing that'll happen, by the way, when you do this, is they'll just start writing all of their emails in ChatGPT. Right. So like the first thing that will happen is that you'll just notice that you'll get the gauze, you'll get the antiseptic, you'll get like the numbing cream on top of all communication, and you'll start seeing like many more M dashes and everything. And it'll be like a layer of robots talking to each other. That's the first step. But then you can say, okay, well, try. All you got to do is download that report as a CSV from Salesforce and upload it into Claude and see what it says and see if it can draw any kind of correlations that you weren't able to draw yourself. And you start pushing. And I think the leap sometimes is just getting files into either ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you're using so that you can do actual analysis. And then from there you can see, and I think your job is to repeat yourself a certain number of times and give people every opportunity and drop hints and say, gosh, do we really need Salesforce, HubSpot, ChargeBee, Stripe, and HiveBright? I was just on a Pavilion global initiation call. And so it's like 7 people, 8 people that joined in the last week that are all executives. And sometimes I get nervous that there's some quite senior people that don't think that they should be sort of in the same conversation as more junior people. But now I'm a little bit less nervous about that because there was a bunch of RevOps managers that were earlier in their career. Okay, but they're testing some of the tools and the systems that the older people don't know about. All of that is to say not everybody's going to pick up the hint. I think you give people the opportunity. I don't think it's as scary. I mean, I think Asad, if your mom is, used to trying 3 different LLMs and understanding what the pros and cons are, it's not that you have to understand how the tech works, but you can understand the limitations and the capabilities. And then from there, then you make your decision. But I will say, and maybe you can summarize the thing that if I miss anything, but AJ showed me an article from this woman, Claire Vo. I think her last name is
Yeah,
Vo.
that's clear. She's the CPO of LaunchDarkly.
There you go. And it was pretty incendiary, pretty nasty, I would say, the tone. But she was trying to wake us up a little bit. She was trying to wake us up and say, you stupid idiot, you ancient dinosaur,
She literally
how
said that in there.
Oh
how
my
many times
God.
can I be redundant? The point is, one of the things that she said is she has a test for organizations that are AI first or not. And one of the things that I remember, I got to look at the full list, but I'll tell you the thing that was most memorable was, can you get stuff done today? I loved that. I loved when I read that. There's no reason that things need to take 3 days anymore. You can get it back to me today. You can do the work today. You have assistance. You can get it back to me today. You can get me the answer to that question today. That is for me because you
Yeah.
see people, and I hope they're listening. I hope they're listening. You see people, they're just used to everything taking a week.
That's really, really important, and I don't wanna lose sight. You give people the opportunity, and you give them the framework on how to do it. We find this true with our team, like, if we roll out Dust, which helps give pre-sales demo reports to our sellers. With individual sellers, telling them very prescriptively, "This is exactly the use case that you should be using this for," versus just leaving everyone to their own devices is going to create a aligned sales methodology. And I think that's how we can combine both an AI native first world with all these tools that can do anything for anyone to what the use case is that we as leaders need to be really clear for our teams on what they're using, how they're using it, when they're using it, and how it's going to help them better their days.
I think obviously this question comes from somebody who's not an AI, a company born post ChatGPT, let's say, whatever you want to call them, AI first, AI native. But this is obviously a question from somebody that's a business like all three of ours, born before and trying to fight a fight now. And I think if you're asking this question today, when I'm in this conversation these days, I'm a little bit scared for companies where it's like, it's been a while, guys. I don't know if we need to be solving this problem right now. It is a bit of a problem that this problem is live today, that you're looking around your org and you feel like there's quite a few non-believers right now. Like, you should be a little bit worried. And I don't think you should be like, oh my God, we're dead now. But you should be worried that you're now still feeling this in your org. And so that gives you a little bit of urgency with which you need to deal with it. Then you need to do a lot of the things that Agent Sama mentioned, which is it starts by giving everybody an opportunity. It starts by trying to change hearts and minds a little bit. I have more tolerance as I move lower in the org and less tolerance at the higher levels. Part of it is because of the impact of non believing in, let's say, a chief product officer role versus a junior designer, right? Like, so just by nature of impact, I think how much room and time and space you give a person to change their mind is different. I think then you have to look at your org and get real specific of who do I think is just not there yet, and give yourself a deadline for I'm going to try all these things, but if by this date I don't think these people are on the right page, I need to do something about this because you operate in a competitive landscape. Like, while you're figuring this out, somebody is trying to eat your lunch as well. And so balancing those two things is important. Otherwise, you might find yourself in a situation where a year from now you've converted everyone, but your churn is 25%. And now what? Right. So, yeah, you have to try to give some timelines to it and stick to them. It is important in your organization to find the people that are AI first. In every org they are. I run a recruitment company, and like days after ChatGPT, there were people that were like showing me stuff. Like, in every company, there will be some real progressive people. And make sure you are elevating them. Make sure that you as an organization have become a meritocracy as well, not just the ecosystem you operate in, because that's dangerous. Like, if the ecosystem becomes a meritocracy and your company isn't, that's a dire situation. And so make sure that that is being reflected within your company. And so you are looking at the people that are the most progressive users of this, and you are appreciating them, you're highlighting them, you're elevating them in your org as well. And that creates a lot of energy, because what that does is within the manager director level in your organization, it makes them realize, ooh, I could have achieved my dreams 3 years faster. And you want that in your org. Trust me, you want that in your org. And so then they start moving. And then the higher ups are like, huh, interesting, because they go to them with their ideas and they're like, they see the use cases, they see the impact, and then they start getting excited. So that's really, really important, is to recognize and elevate the people that are progressive as a way to create energy amongst those that might not be where you want them to be.
Have you had to do this with your organization in any way? Have any pieces of what you just said, timeline or thinking about it in this way, is that something that you've instituted at STA?
I think we have been lucky, maybe because of the average age group in the business, that a lot of the leaders in the business, the MDs, they are early to mid 30s. And so they're of the right sort that they were really ahead of this. And in our business, there were some use cases that very quickly made life really easy. So, like, even as AI was quite early in its journey, there were one or two use cases which today will sound super simple, but was saving hours of recruiters. And so it's easy to get belief when you get that sort of benefit early, right? Like, then you kind of are going to be a step ahead of it. And so I think we just were lucky based on what we do and early use cases being highly impactful for us. One of those use cases was that every recruitment company on earth has to interview candidates and create profiles on those candidates. This is a very time consuming part of a recruiter's job. You are spending an hour or two with a person. You're really trying to understand their career story completely. You're trying to assess it, analyze it, and then you have to be able to document that and then provide your analysis to someone. And so let's say you spend an hour and two with somebody, and then creating the document takes you another 2, 3 hours. Almost within, I think, months of AI getting some sort of like momentum, that became an hour, and then that became 45. Like, the document creation portion of that. And so that I think for us was really meaningful and helped us a lot. So not as much, but I would say that I've noticed even in our org, the older you are, the harder it is. The most progressive people are younger, but because of the use cases being present and us being able to highlight them, as you guys said, like show them to the org what is working, and then, as I said, elevate the people that are ahead, it does give a lot of motivation to the older person to not let this moment, pass them by.
I love that. I wanted to just give everybody the list, what Claire says about things that need to be done in a day. She says, I have a simple heuristic for identifying who has been kicked out of the arena, and it's this: they can't do anything the same day. Doesn't matter what it is, but I'll give you a list of things I've seen companies be unable to do in a day: fix bugs, launch landing pages, upgrade to a new model, get a PM on a call with a customer, get access to a new AI tool, turn around negotiations on executive comp. Before AI, this was a less useful heuristic because many of these took scarce expertise and therefore time. But we now have the clarifying light of AI. If you can move fast and yet you don't, it's a you problem, babe.
Wow.
Let's wrap this up for people listening. So the question was, you've got an organization, you're trying to make it AI first, you're trying to up level it. And what do we do? Do we just fire everybody that we have a bad feeling about, or do we give them a chance? So our answer collectively was we give them a chance. We create through repetition of the importance of using tools. We lead by example. We create frameworks to make it easy for them to opt in, such as hack days or hackathons, or different kinds of ways of helping them diagnose what tasks or activities might be replaced or where they can use AI. And then, as Asad said, you want to elevate the people that are doing a good job wherever they are in the organization and use them as a template, as an example for other people to learn from. And by the way, there's a heuristic that you can use, which I really liked, which I just shared with you, which is if your organization can't do simple things in one day, that is a sign that you are not moving quickly enough. Synthesizing and analyzing information on complex projects is far easier today than it was 6 months ago or 12 months ago. And you should be able to turn around insights and analysis much more quickly and develop perspectives and point of views in a way that wasn't as possible before.
I've noticed with this, yes, you can turn those around, but what I've also noticed is that you're not when you're sharing it, not everyone's understanding what they're sharing. They aren't
Mm.
fully absorbing and editing that analysis. And I think that's a massive miss.
I know this is a short format episode, but I think, AJ, this is a really, really important point. Like, I see this all over the place right now.
It's really frustrating, and it shows me who's actually putting care into their work and their job and who's just turning around something just to turn around something.
It's also the fact that we're telling them move faster. We're saying use the tools. And so there's an expectation of speed. Speed has been rewarded. And so what do you give up with speed? Do you give up a little bit of like sitting there and reflecting and so I think there's this tension between depth and speed. And we're seeing this right now. Maybe the best users of AI also use it to get deep with it. Like they ask it to like help them learn the thing, understand the thing. But there is this tension right now.
That is how I use AI, is for depth. If you're just taking the output, copying and pasting and sending it on, that is not what we're looking for, people. We're looking for judgment and agency and taste and an editorial perspective on everything that you do, on everything that you do. So it is an interaction with AI. You are working with it. You are saying, no, that's not exactly what I was saying. Try it this way. What research do you have to back up that perspective? Actually, it doesn't back up that perspective. Let me try a different angle. It's an iterative process that you're working with a creative assistant. It is not somebody that just does the work and then you're just the pass through. If you are just the pass through, you will be fired.
Yeah, no rude, no rude.
Thanks for listening to Top Line, everybody. We're going to do these episodes. If you like them, share about them in the Top Line Slack channel or post about them on LinkedIn. If you've got questions for this special format, please let us know. Thanks to our sponsors, and thanks for listening to another episode of Top Line. Smash the subscribe button,
Smash it.
if you will. Would you smash it?